So today we will be planting a daffodil, and I'm going to tell you about where it got its name. So Rylin. In Irish, they are called Lus an Chrumcín, which means plant with the bent head. Can you see why? So if you look at a daffodil, it kind of looks like it's looking down slightly, doesn't it? It's not looking up at the sun, it's looking down. So that name describes it really well, Lus an Chrumcín. The official name is Narcissus, which is the Latin name. Now I'm going to tell you the story of Narcissus. In ancient Greek mythology, Narcissus was a handsome young man, and he loved himself more than he did others. So he was very vain, was more in love with himself, couldn't love anyone else. So this flaw led to his death. Okay, Narcissus' father was the river god, Cephissus, and his mother was Liriope, a female goddess called a nymph. So according to legend, the gods wanted to punish Narcissus for being so selfish, because it's not really a great thing to be vain and in love with yourself, is it? No. So they made him fall in love with his own image. So they made him fall in love with the way he looked. Narcissus saw his reflection in a pool of water when he leaned over to take a drink. So you can imagine that he's sitting there about to take a drink of water, and he saw his own reflection in the water. He became so enchanted and fell in love with this image that he could never look away. So he stayed there forever, and eventually he died there. So the gods then took pity on Narcissus. So they felt a bit bad that they had punished him so harshly, and they changed him into a flower on the spot where he had died. So think about it. Lus an Chrumcín means flower or plant with the bent head. And what did Narcissus do? He was leaning over into the water looking at his own reflection. So that's why daffodils are called Narcissus or Lus an Chrumcín, because they're looking down at themselves or their reflection. So now we need to get on to planting our daffodils. So I have in my trusty pot, I have a trowel, I have a fork, I have some gardening gloves to keep my hands clean, and of course I have my daffodil bulbs, I have my Narcissus, my Lus an Chrumcín, ready to go. Now it's a little bit chilly outside at the moment, so what I'm going to do is I'm also going to bring a hat and a coat to keep myself warm. Right, Rylin. And here I am on the roof. Okay, so this is actually the perfect time of year to be planting daffodils. I know it doesn't seem like a gardening time of year, but it really is, because we plant daffodils early and we're going to let them sleep until spring, where they will blossom and bloom. So I'm very excited to wait for that to happen. So in my pot, I have a trowel for digging. I have a fork. I have gardening gloves. And of course, I have my daffodils. Now, if you don't have a garden, that's no problem. You could just use a pot and some soil. It doesn't matter, whatever you have at home. Again, you don't have to have a trowel and a fork. Even if you literally use a spoon or a little plastic shovel or a dinner fork would probably do the job as well. Okay? Now, the depth of the hole needs to be twice the height of the daffodil bulb. So I'm going to start digging. So when we're planting daffodil bulbs, we need to put them a little bit apart. So I'm going to measure from the top of my thumb to the top of my pinky, and that's how far apart I need to plant them. So my next hole should be about here. Oopsie daisy, down I dig. Now, oopsie daisy. Now I'm going to take that out. And then my last one is going to be somewhere around here. So I'm going to keep digging there. This is a good soil here. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to loosen the soil underneath, because that means that when the daffodil starts growing, it's going to have lots of room for its roots. And when we're planting our daffodils, they need to be upright, which means that where they're going to sprout from should be facing up and their roots should be facing down. So that's 2. And where's my other one? And there's 3. Now, I'm going to cover them over with the soil that I just dug up, and I'm going to pat it not too hard, So I'm going to tuck them in nicely because they're going to sleep till the spring. Rylum. Now, if we're expecting heavy rain, then you don't really have to do much else because we're usually expecting heavy rain here. But just in case, I'm going to put a little bit of water on each of the spots. And over here. Now, and that's it. It's actually really easy taking care of daffodils because I'm just going to leave them now until spring.